Hi, good evening. I would like to thank FMJPI in providing a platform to share how real estate strategy is being reset while we return to office. My name is Rajesh Pandit, and I am responsible for GWS business for CBR in India and property management business for Southeast Asia, India, and Middle East and North Africa. As some of you may know, CBRE is world's largest real estate and investments firm, and we are at 128 on Fortune 500 ranking. We have more than 10,000 people in India, providing end-to-end real estate solutions to our clients for services like consulting, valuations, capital markets, advisory and transaction services for commercial, retail, residential, industrial, and logistics spaces. We have extensive experience in project and construction management. We are a leading organization managing over 320 million square feet under facilities and property management on behalf of our prestigious clients. I will use next 30 minutes or so to share 8 core truths guiding the future of work and share 10 predictions around future of workplace. We believe real estate strategy must be reimagined in post-pandemic period and be adhered to as a connected framework of specific considerations that are thoughtfully and continuously explored. Feedback from leaders across the globe agree talent, location, occupancy, design and experience will determine successful outcomes in 2021 and beyond. These 8 core truths that I'm going to share with you are going to guide organizations in coming times. In these times, leaders will have to really look at the new realities of business with a critical eye and reassess their strategies going forward. Of the pillars, the first being talent, leaders are already aware that employees with a good mix of millennials now expect more autonomy and independence in decision making. One of it is where would they like to work from in the post-pandemic period. Employers who are prepared to build trust and offer choices to their employees will gain a competitive edge in the race for talent, which is and will be in short supply and obviously will have high demand as well. So if I was to start with truth number 1, as employees return to the office, the desire for flexibility and choice will drive new behaviors in how and when they engage with spaces of all kinds. So leaders in that case will have to strategize depending on how often will workers engage with a physical office, how many times would they come to office, and also how will they use the space. The current occupancies across offices that we are associated with, 10 to 15% are not enough indicators. Second truth, the changes will push a relook of workplace policies and will have to be fundamentally reset in light of a more distributed workforce and hybrid work styles. Leaders will have to now assess policies and guidelines needed to suit employees' choice and maintain a culture of accountability, productivity, diversity, and of course, wellness. The difficulties will be around fixing accountability while trusting employees while they work from anywhere. On one side, many will be a lot more productive than others, but there'll be a group of people who will actually demand more supervision. Wellness will bother all of us as we continue to work more number of hours in this virtual environment. The second pillar being location. We are already seeing how emerging migration patterns, new dynamics around public transportation. We have seen ourselves how introduction of metro trains in many cities, which are now covering suburban areas around these metro cities, changing population density, telecom infrastructure have already begun to impact selection of locations. The third truth will be decentralized offices will be emerging as a tool to support as existing employees and also to attract new ones. So what would leaders do in such a situation? They would have to now evaluate strategies around provision of more decentralized offices to satisfy their employee base that is highly mobile and is a lot burdened by time taken to commute between home to office. In many cases, across multiple cities, especially in India, you could see that the maximum time taken by an employee could be as high as 3 hours while they are on roads. The fourth truth of the 8, migration to lower cost, high quality of life markets has been a hallmark of the past decade, and we feel that that's likely to continue. So what do we need to do in that case? We need to look on at where does our talent exist, where do they live, so that we can satisfy goals of diversity and evolving skill sets while maintaining an advantage over competition. The third pillar, occupancy. So in these ambiguous times, when everything is so uncertain, companies are focusing on no regrets decision, that is maximizing flexibility for requirements that, unfortunately are so uncertain. And these uncertainties are delaying decisions, with some leaders willing to go with decisions which are short term, some with long term. The truth number 5, companies that are embracing planning amid this uncertainty will hopefully gain advantages in the current real estate market. And the leaders will have to now take decisions on how to mitigate risk around long-term commitments and continue to develop progressive real estate strategies. So while there's uncertainty on one side, how do they make decisions that hopefully they will be able to stay with in the long term? Truth number 6, flexible solutions allow companies to more easily adjust their space usage and occupier sentiment toward using flexible office space, which is now growing. We know multiple clients in India, Indian companies and multinational companies, wherein they have large portfolios which they own and which they lease. So leaders will have to really now evaluate their current portfolio mix. Their major decisions will hover around requirements in their portfolio that will be better suitable for more flexible office space options as we go forward. The fourth pillar, which is design and experience, and as all of us know, that there is now a shift in how standards are being designed, technologies that are being introduced that will now focus on health, productivity, and communications that will be binding the workforces together across a physical and virtual real estate footprint. All these webinars are good examples of how from physical lectures to virtual webinars we have moved. This will be a change management exercise and will need focus of all the real estate leaders. The seventh truth is that the reimagined workplaces will be an essential part of ensuring the safety, wellness, productivity, and engagement of a distributed workforce. This is not the workforce which is sitting in one place. Leaders will have to focus on how they will evaluate the needs on absorption of new strategies around promotion of concepts around wellness, and how do they utilize the spaces to maximize productivity of these individuals, and look at needs of teams around collaboration, because that's something which in the current environment is seeing a beating, and looking at effectiveness of hybrid virtual and in-person events and meetings. All these years we've been speaking about how do we build culture of an organization by getting people in one place. We'll have to now see how do we create real estate solutions which are hybrid in nature. Truth 8 around digital technologies that will create smarter, efficient buildings and frankly more connected experiences for employees, which will also include creating safer and healthier workplaces. Over years, leaders have been investing on technologies. We have seen that we have absorbed some local solutions, some global solutions, but now we'll have to look at ways of upgrading and implement prop tech, which is obviously the new buzzword these days. This will help them to drive connectivity, foster innovation, renewed focus and measurement on environmental sustainability. ESG is now the buzzword. So how do we work around that? And more importantly, how do we improve efficiency in commercial real estate buildings? So these were 4 pillars that I spoke when it came to 8 truths. Now let's see how is the future workplace. So when we say that we return to office, how are these workplaces going to look like for us? While remote work is here to stay, I mean, we all know that there is a shift in our understanding. All these years, if I was to say personally, I would expect all our colleagues to be in office. CBRE conducted a survey and we realized that of the 39% of the respondents, less than 1 in 4 was in favor of remote working. They primarily wanted office-based workforce. Then there were 42% respondents who felt that of the 4 full-time remote group of people, less than 2 wanted to be working remote, which is that around 42% people said that they wanted distributed workforce, full-time office and full-time remote. And more than 3 in 4 said that they wanted to primarily work remotely, which was a smaller percentage of 11. What I'm trying to say is that while they will be office-based and remote workforce, but remote work is going to stay. However, the office is also here to stay. Companies will have to now rethink the role of a single headquarter in favor of a broader ecosystem. And when I say broader ecosystem, if you were to look at how we currently structured pre-pandemic, we had headquarters, we had satellite offices, we had project offices, and we had some flexible space. But if we were to look at ecosystem of post-pandemic, we might have to look at regional offices, co-working spaces, and home to support this increasing and ongoing mobility. And how do you do that? So, like I said, you could be working from anywhere. You could work from home. You could work from project office. You could work from a satellite offices. You could actually collaborate, work while you're commuting. You could be working from a cafe. You could be working from a gym. Or you could actually ask for meetings on demand, which means it becomes a network between headquarters and other satellite offices, satellite clubs, satellite flexible spaces. So the way we're looking at that, the office is obviously here to stay. Now, while many companies across the globe and in India have provided employees with the option to continue working from home for an extended period, we found that 72% of the senior leaders would like to or are encouraging their employees to work from office. In one of the surveys that we did globally, which included few clients from India as well, 11% of our clients felt that there was no change required in the current setup. They wanted everyone to come back to office. 27% felt that people should come back to office, but they wanted to give a rethink of workplace design. They wanted to rework on workplace so that these places could become more collaborative, for example. But 35% of these clients, the leaders, wanted to encourage employees to work in office, but they were actually okay to allow them to work from home if they wished. There was another 11% of clients who were either instructing or were encouraging their staff to stay at home. And of course, there were some as high as 17% who did not have a universal answer in terms of these questions. The offices, if you were to look at post-pandemic offices, the new purpose will be to provide, these offices to act as a venue for community, culture, collaboration. Now, what we foresee is that employees will spend less time on individual focus tasks while on site and more time collaborating, networking, socializing. So if you were to look at how offices are designed, if you were to go in a activity-based working office, we would see that 50% of the space is actually planned for me versus 25% which is for we. And that's wherein the shift that we foresee in coming times, wherein there will be space allocations which will favor we space over me space. And when you do that, when you get into a team-based working environment, over there, you will have to focus on amenities, providing more amenities for your employees. And over there, we see that me and we spaces will be equal at 36%, and you might have to have 18%, for example, for amenities and 10% for support. Now, if you see a shift from activity-based working to team-based working, if you were to look at the current environment wherein we are now wanting to make an event-based working, and this is wherein you would have to put 50% of the space plan for we, 25% for me, and another 15% for amenities to support this working. So these are some changes that we foresee is going to happen in coming times. Now, conferencing, honestly, we've been conferencing over years. However, the change that we foresee, that conferencing will adapt to mixed presence collaboration. Tools such as virtual whiteboarding, smart board, and other communication platforms, or maybe large format telepresence devices, will really lessen the disadvantages of virtually joining and in-person meeting. Over years, we have focused on people traveling between cities, traveling between countries for sometimes for a 60-minute in-person meeting. But we foresee that there will be more acceptance of the fact that people will be able to virtually join. So some of us will be able to virtually join an in-person meeting, which could be in a different city or could be in a different country. Since we're speaking about more collaboration, we will have to strategize around amenities by focusing on hospitality and various services. Now, I mean, imagine a situation that some clients coming to office, some clients working from home. So, how do you create concierge services for them? How do you create a mail center? How do you communicate in case if there are any hard copies of mails that needs to go? Copying, printing centers. How do you create more wellness and meditation rooms in offices? Would there be a provision for an on-site health clinic? Or creating a creativity zone, creating quiet zones. I know in one of our offices in Tokyo, they have created quiet zones, which are places like a library, wherein not everybody can go and shout. So you're actually allowed to go only without a mobile phone. So these are places where you're wearing your thinking cap, you're more creative, and you're using these spaces more for planning. In offices, how do you create more outdoor spaces? Or maybe if we were to look at food, how do you give them full food service? Or how do you create coffee or fresh juices bar? Or maybe, pick up snacks or conferences centers or fitness centers. So these amenities, like I said, when we're moving between different working plans and offices, these amenities will be critical to attract talent, not only right talent, attraction to offices, but also retention of these people while they work with us. Pre-COVID, only 43% of our clients were encouraging shared environments, strategies around desk sharing occupancy. So we've seen, again, through the future of the office surveys that we have done with multiple of our clients, what used to be a under 50% pre-COVID, client organizations wanting to provide more shared environment. We saw pre-COVID, and if I was to say pre-COVID is pre-March. Pre-March, we started with 43%, jumped to 59% in June, and we have seen that closer to quarter four of 2020, they have moved up to 83%. 83% of the organizations surveyed are anticipating a more shared environment. When these employees come to our offices, they will demand, as they call, elbow room. They will need more elbow room when in office. What does it mean? Which means that we'll have to relook at our workstation designs. Most of you from the FM fraternity would know how we would have linear workstations. It's like a manufacturing industry. This is wherein we foresee that the workstations designs will change from linear to group workstations. Private space design will also see a shift, and frankly, even pre-COVID, a lot of large organizations moved from providing offices. When I say offices, means cabins for leaders. We already moved to spaces which are private, but they are not fixed. So people can come and use the spaces which are private in nature. Then, if you look at collaboration from a design perspective, you could have a large conference room. But the way future is looking like, you will have more collaborative spaces. So it will not be just one large 20-seater conference room, but there will be multiple smaller collaboration areas. Even if you look at meeting room designs, they will also see a change from a large table surrounded by chairs to different areas in the same room. So you could have one-seaters, three-seaters, two-seaters, and also a table which is 8, 10 seaters, for example. What we'll also see a huge shift as we go forward in future. Healthy buildings will be something which will be more futuristic, which will take the center stage. Now, whether it is, making a positive impact in the organizations where we work or in the communities where we engage. So it could be occupational well-being, or it could be intellectual well-being, wherein you're improving skill sets and you are contributing positively to company's culture. Or it could be social, wherein these healthy buildings help you establish positive relationships between few colleagues. And it obviously, when I say healthy and well-being, obviously it will be physical, wherein you're supporting good health, awareness, and vitality. Last but not least, you're also creating safe, productive, and comfortable workplaces in terms of taking care of the environmental needs. Now, if we to see in future, how will we define and measure workplace performance? And I'm quite sure that we'll see a change. Let's see, how do we currently measure? A measurement is occupancy cost per employee, or it could be square feet per employee, or it could be square feet per desk, or it could lead to desk sharing ratio, or it could be percentage of open versus enclosed space. And we've always done this. And as leaders in our businesses, we're all talking about, hey, how do I reduce my overall footprint? How do I save costs? So this is how we've been doing it till now. What we are foreseeing is that the measurements will change, and what will be now measured would be workplace experience net promoter score, or we'll create more employee engagement matrices. What is the percentage of employees who agree that they are able to collaborate when in office? So this will become a matrix for us. Or you could even go in a percentage of employees who are feeling sense of belongingness when they are in office. So, you see that we are seeing a shift. Now, there could be a percentage of employees. How do they feel, whether the workplace reflects the company that they work for, their brand and culture? What percentage of meeting spaces are technology enabled? Degree to which the workplace supports health and well-being. So if you see, there's a huge shift between what was something more related to square foot to what is more related to percentage of employees feeling about the spaces that we are now going to build for our colleagues. This is, in my view, going to redefine how we measure our performances in future. Now, more importantly, we've all heard of FM or a real estate leader or a HR person or IT person. I think there will be a new position that will be created called Chief Places Officer. Now, if you were to look at what could be top 5 skills that the Chief Places Officer would need, which obviously will come from partnering between real estate, HR, and IT, because all three will be crucial in not only designing but providing the services that we're talking to our employees. So if you were to look at, frankly, the skills that the Chief Places Officer would need, would be superior command of the core business. You need to understand what business you are in. Financial acumen, which obviously is key even today. Exceptional collaboration and partnering skills, because like I said in the beginning, how do you partner between real estate teams, HR, and IT? How good are you at that will really put you in a place in the organization. How visionary, how forward thinking are you as a chief places officer. And if you were to look at people who are today in this business, who born in or who have learned in the brick and mortar environment, they will have to now emphasize on hearts and minds, not only theirs, but their partners, their colleagues, their employees as well. So if I was to conclude what will be different in the future, quickly, remote work is here to stay. The offices is here to stay too. Space allocations will favor we space over me space. Conferencing will adapt to mixed presence collaboration. Amenities strategies will focus on hospitality and services. Desk sharing occupancy strategies will continue to grow in popularity. Employees will demand more elbow room. Healthy building design and operations will take center stage. How we define and measure workplace performance will change. Like I said, partnership between CRE, HR, and IT will strengthen. With that, I would like to thank our viewers who are listening to us. I did not want to repeat many of the things that we hear these days on webinars on what will happen when you come back to work. So I've kept it more real estate focused on how CBRE thinks the future is looking for real estate. I hope it was relevant, and thank you very much for listening to this webinar.